Let's play some hockey. Tonight. Energetic, passionate, and savvy. Gouche Live. Brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Gouche.
Yes, it is. It's Gouche Live right here at the Colisée de Laval. I'm here. I've got my good buddy Mario at the back. Of course, we are here doing the NPUHL showcase in Montreal. It's in Laval, and I'm so excited about being here. The tournament has been run very well this year, and I'm really excited for tomorrow because we've got a full schedule of games again. But today, we've got some exciting news. I not only have my producer, who will talk a little bit about the goings-on, and we're going to talk about, obviously, tonight's game against the Winnipeg Jets and those Arizona Coyotes. And, of course, we're going to have the opportunity to bring up a real special guest who's actually here in Montreal, who will be meeting me at the Rockets game. The Laval Rockets are playing Texas tonight, and we're going to be able to meet Caden Primo right after the game. Liam McGuire. Shh, don't tell him. He doesn't know that yet. All right, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by the Hockey News, of course, Sports Illustrated, and our very good friends at Fired Up Network. You are with Gouche Live here at the Colisée de Laval, and here's Jordan, the producer.
Hey, Gooch.
Hey, Jordan, how you doing?
I'm good. Holding the fort down here in Toronto.
I apologize. It would have been a great day for you to be here. Mario and his crew has done a great job. But we had he says he built the Colisée de Laval. Jimmy Man, I don't know. I'm thinking it's more like Mike Bossy and Mario Lemieux. And then he said, yeah, I literally had a hammer and I was hammering in some of the boards. But Jimmy Man came down and met a couple of the kids and they were so excited. A lot of them didn't even know who he was, but they Googled him and they saw, holy cripe, he's a pretty tough dude. And a really nice guy. Hey, listen, let's get right into it. Obviously, we're going to be doing the comparison between the Winnipeg Jets tonight. That's our feature game. They've struggled, as has many of our Canadian teams outside of maybe, let's say, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are red hot after beating Colorado 8-2 the other night. I really thought Montreal would have a better showing against the Avalanche last night. That certainly didn't happen. They played okay in the first period, but we'll ask Liam because he saw the game. Listen, I made a mistake. I know it's Winnipeg against the New Jersey Devils. We lost against the Arizona Coyotes, and I still don't understand how he is holding his job. Paul Maurice, there's a lot of talk, a lot of chatter in Winnipeg about whether or not he's going to stay. I just got a feeling, there's a shelf life, and sometimes you need to go. Winnipeg needs to get back on a winning track. It's so important. And tonight is, I don't want to call it a statement game, but it's a game that's going to put them in the standings of whether or not they're on the way up or they're back into this lull. What are your thoughts on Winnipeg and why they are in this funk?
I mean, it really comes down to the offense. I mean, the guys aren't producing. I mean, Kyle Connor had a really good start to the year, but one goal in his last 7 games, and he's just not going to cut it. And I mean, granted, we're only 20 games into the year, but I mean, this is around the time where we kind of get a better idea of the playoff picture, and Winnipeg's falling out of that spot right now. So again, this offense needs to figure it out. Mark Scheifele needs to be better. Blake Wheeler needs to be a lot better. Yeah. It's just a lot of things that aren't clicking for them right now.
Well, let me read some stuff off to you that obviously we've been looking at. Lost 1-0 to Arizona. Those are 2 points that they may look back at, in March and saying, oh my God, we needed that game. I think that was a statement game because, losing 1-0 in your own barn and you don't have any offensive power. Their power play is absolutely horrendous. I don't think there's a worse power play. Maybe Montreal Canadiens are right up in there, but the Winnipeg Jets, with all the firepower that they have, they beat Calgary 4-2. They look like world beaters. And then, of course, as you've mentioned here, they've had 3 shutouts in 12 games against them. And it's a team that was 9-3-3 after starting 0-2-1. Kyle Connor, as you mentioned, was looking like the world beater. He has kind of died off a little bit. And now we're looking at the Devils are in the same spot. So it's a tale of 2 teams. They're both good hockey teams. Neither one of them is showing that they should be a playoff team right now. Where do you see this Devils team going up against the Winnipeg Jets tonight then?
I mean, I still think they are going to struggle. I mean, Jack Hughes is just coming off his shoulder separation, and he's going to take a couple games to get back in a rhythm. They lost to San Jose the other night, which was his first game back. But this line of Dawson Mercer, Jesper Bratt, and Andreas Janssen, ex-Leaf, has actually been pretty good. I mean, combined for 50 points so far this year.
Yep.
They're leading the way for them. But at the end of the day, I mean, we know Janssen's not really a top 6 guy, and Jesper Bratt's still a rookie. Sorry, not Jesper Bratt, Dawson Mercer. Yep. Jesper Bratt's still a decent player, but I mean, I don't know if they can keep this up. So I think Winnipeg needs to come out of this on top. And it's not going to be an easy game by any means.
Well, and you talk about Mercer, you're a rookie in this team. We'll be talking with Liam McGuire a little bit about, what we saw with Caulfield last year and where he is this year. You obviously see a change with the rookies. They come out with a big start and then all of a sudden fall off. He's got 6 goals, 8 assists for 14 points and 20. That's very respectable. But those are the guys that shouldn't be leading, the New Jersey Devils. And when we go back to Winnipeg, you can't expect Connor and Ehlers to be your offensive force. They're very good hockey players, don't get me wrong, but you need the Scheifele's and the Wheelers of the world. I want to ask you this question before we go off and talk to Liam McGuire. When we talk about Winnipeg Jets, the loyalty factor, Paul Maurice has been very loyal to Blake Wheeler, and Blake Wheeler is not getting the job done. How long can he continue on staying loyal to a captain that is just not producing? And then that goes down your lineup. If you're favoring your captain right at this moment, he's given him enough time to kickstart his season. You've got to take it, put the guys that are playing at the level they need to. Listen, they added Dylan, right? They added Schmidt, so the defense has been very responsible. Hellerbuck has been okay. Listen, they lost 1-0. You can't blame him. But this offense is making other goalies look like Vezina candidates.
Yeah, I don't know if quite the loyalty isn't really the right word to say, but I mean, there does need to be a kind of role adjustment. I mean, he's just not producing, and you do need to shake something up to kind of mix it up a little bit and try to get him going. Maybe move him to the third line, give him more of a checking role for a couple of games. Maybe he finds a little bit there. He can do a little more on his own. So again, I think Paul Maurice is going to try and keep playing him. But at a certain point, something does need to happen. There needs to be some kind of position change or role change somewhere in there.
Well, it could be his position change, Paul Maurice, if he doesn't turn this around. Hey, listen, final part before I bring up the master. You're the producer. He's the master when it comes to understanding the NHL and the Montreal Canadiens. Many teams are talking to Boston right now about a pretty good hockey player that kind of fell out of favor, Jake DeBrusk. What's going on there? Like, this kid, he's a solid hockey player. Something's gone amiss, and now all of a sudden, I think they're going to part ways, and they're going to part ways really soon. 3 years ago, he had 27 goals. He's just got to. I think he needs a new scenery. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Boston's another one of those hockey markets where it's really intense. You're almost a god there. So again, I think this guy might need to get out, but he does have that kind of, almost it feels like every Boston team has a couple of these guys where they're in your face, they're in the corner, they're going after you, and I really like his game. He's a lot of fun to watch. There is a lot of skill there. I just think he needs a better system, a better environment to kind of just figure out his game a little bit, try and get back to where he was, because there is talent there.
Hey, Jordan, I can't wait. Tomorrow we've got Gene Prince Bay coming on, replacing Talking with Taylor. Scotty's gone down to Florida, of all places, to talk hockey. He just said, hey, listen, I want to take a weekend off. He's down to see his daughter. We're here at the Colisée de Laval. As I mentioned, we're here for the Northern Pre-University Hockey League Showcase. Right to my right here is Jeff Potter. He's obviously here with the King Heights Academy. And, of course, we got our good friends Alec and, of course, Mario. They have just been absolutely great hosts. I will be talking to you tomorrow morning. Obviously, right after this, I know Liam's in a car driving to watch the Rockets play against Texas. I will meet up with him, and we're going to have a chance to meet the one and only Caden Primo after the game and get a few minutes to chat with him. And then, very breaking news, nobody knows that it's happening, Liam McGuire is here in Montreal, and tomorrow morning he and I will interview the one and only Denny Lemieux from the movie Slapshot.
Wow.
He is here in a sports card show, and we'll get an opportunity to talk to him about the 45th anniversary that we're putting together, and that's why Liam is here. Jordan, thanks, buddy. Always a pleasure having you on.
No worries. Enjoy, Gooch.
Okay, buddy. Hey, listen, the Hockey News and, of course, Sports Illustrated has allowed us to do this. They put us on their network, and we are crushing it. Wait till you see the news at Bottom Line next week, December 11th. We will be there live showing you a set like no others. You'll actually think we're in a TV station, for God's sakes. I better get my hair cut. Now, he is by far the most intelligent hockey mind on the planet. No, maybe on the planet. It is Liam Maguire. Liam, look at that too. You're looking good, kid.
Yeah,
listen,
hang around for a young fella.
You look good, kid. Hey, you're staying at the Quality Inn Hotel. You thought I was going to book you maybe at the Marriott, but I got you at the Quality Inn Hotel. Hey, listen, look at this. All the way from Thailand, Johnny Laroche, of course, Jordan's father, is joining us saying, greetings from Thailand. Is there any snow in Montreal?
Yeah, well, you could answer that as well, Gooch. You're here. So there's probably about the same we've got in Ottawa. I don't know what you've got in Toronto. Just a skiff at best. It's cold enough for snow. If there's any type of precipitation, it would snow. But it was a nice, easy drive down today and brilliant sunshine. And it's under 0 Celsius, but it's not that bad. No, very little to no snow.
Listen, of course, I forgot to mention that we're going to talk about the Jeff Gorton. He had a press conference. I know that our buddy, I'm going to bring him up actually right now, Jordan and I. Let's talk about Jeff Gorton, and I want to get both of your perspectives. I watched only a little bit of it. Thanks for joining, Jordan. First, I want to get your impression. Jordan, we've been following this. You know, we've had thoughts here on the radio here in Montreal. It's all been talked. He speaks English. He speaks English. He's not a francophone. How do you think, Jordan, he did right off the bat to set the tempo for the press? And I think he calmed the waters a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, he came out speaking French. I mean, I can't say much. Mine isn't much better, but he wasn't great. But again, at least he's trying. He did say he does want to learn French. So again, this is a guy who wants to be there. Who I think he cherishes this role. And I think he did a really good job today.
Hey, Liam, obviously he compared it to playing golf. And people got a laugh and a chuckle out of that. Do you think that was a smart move to get people kind of off the tension that's in Montreal right at this particular moment? Obviously, one of the other big highlights of it all was the throwing of the jersey onto the ice, kind of really set everybody back. Here they brought Jeff Gorton in, and now we're throwing the jerseys on. Talk to us a little bit about him adding a little bit of levity. You know it. You know the pressure that's here in Montreal with the press. Do you think that helped him a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with Jordan. I thought he did an outstanding job. I mean, he's 5 days on the job, 4 or 5 days on the job. So I think he's getting cut a lot of slack by what will be, as we know, a cutthroat media here in this city, as it is in Toronto and other Canadian markets, and some in the States. But this is one of the tougher ones for sure. And everybody knows the story, what's transpired here in the last few days. And I thought he handled that very well. The comment about speaking French, learning French, the golf analogy, the everything he really said about what he's going to try and do. And I think the word that he just kept using over and over again was patience.
Yep. And
I think if anybody has investigated his background, if you're not familiar with it, he is known to be that type of guy. He's going to come in and assess here. He is signed to a 5-year contract, and I think it's a good hire. And I think he'll take his time and find the right guy, right Franco-Canadian to French-Canadian to work with him and under him and with him. And hopefully they'll make a good duo here. This season's a write-off. Clearly he's indicating that by saying Ducharme is here for the season because this team has quit on him. They have absolutely quit on this coach.
Yeah.
So you're going to play another 60 games. 55 games for this guy, and you're saying the coach is here for the year, then you're making a statement as a director of hockey ops or VP, whatever the official title is, with that statement as well.
Liam, sometimes that's the kiss of death. He's safe right now, and then
no, I know, Gooch, I know, and we all know that, right? I mean, everybody says that, but I just found it that's probably the weirdest thing. Not weird, but the thing that I least expected him to say today. But
I agree with that. I agree with you, Liam. I don't think.
I mean, everything else. The thing to me, he hit a home run today. In so much as that there really was nowhere to go but up. I mean, he'd have to come in and be a Mike Milbury 2.0 to have a disastrous first presser really today. So
exactly,
I think he hit a home run. He did a great job, and I think the fan base, a lot of them are settling in and understanding that the season's a write-off, and we just want to find out and hope that Carey will come back at some point in time, because he's certainly young enough to still have a couple of productive years. Yep. If his body and mind are good to go. We need closure on Shea Weber, and then the rest of the pieces have to come back and be able to play healthy, and they've got to make some determinations on what to do with some of the kids that they already have. The sweater stuff on the ice, that's going to continue too, sadly. I mean, We've seen that in the history of the NHL. That has been prevalent when teams absolutely suck, that sweaters get thrown on the ice. And
Liam, it could be a turning point, because don't forget they did it at the beginning of the season here for the Leafs, and look at where they are right now. Hey, Jordan, just as I let you go, I want to get this comment, and then I'm going to spend a little more time digging deep with Liam McGuire about all the thoughts of what are going on. But you are a Jeff Gorton fan, obviously coming from the New York Rangers, and you being a huge Rangers fan. He states that he wants to be fast, skilled, and focus on player development and analytics. Like, I know that probably, Liam, I'm just saying this because you're close to my age. I don't really get the analytics, like how that builds a better hockey team, but maybe you can enlighten me later. But Jordan, he's speaking to a young audience saying, I'm going to be analytical. I'm going to get more people involved. It's going to be a 2-tier system here. Tell me your thoughts on where Jeff Gorton came from and how you think he will fit in with Montreal.
I mean, just in terms of the player development, I mean, we saw guys like the Brett Howdens and the Capo Kakos, the Philip Keatles, who kind of came into the league, and Jeff Gorton just wanted to give them as many chances as possible. I mean, don't get me wrong, Brett Howdens is a decent hockey player, but I mean, he stayed on the Rangers for a little too long, and as soon as they got new management, he was one of the first people to go. So at the end of the day, he can be a little loyal to a fault, but he's done a lot of really good work, and just look at this Rangers team now. This was a lot of his doing, and again, they're one of the hottest teams in the league right now. So, and if you look at the roster, they're fast, they're skilled guys. That top six is really good. Same for the defense. So he's really good at finding diamonds in the rough. I think he's going to do a really good job in Montreal.
All right. Well, Jordan, thank you for producing the show as usual. I look forward to seeing you on Monday. I'm going to take care of the fort here. I know you're taking care of Gouche Live Productions, and it's great that your mother is going to come in. You haven't seen her in 2 years. We're so excited for you, buddy. Thank you for all that you do for us. I'm looking forward to next Saturday. We are going to rock it at the Bottom Line, not only for the pregame for the Chicago Blackhawks and the Toronto Maple Leafs, but bringing you a new experience on Gouche Live. Jordan, thanks, buddy.
Looking forward to it. See you, Liam.
All right, Liam, let's dig deep, kid. Let's get deep. Here's what I want to ask you. He said he wants to build a team that's fast and skilled. I think the Montreal Canadiens are a pretty quick team, and I think they're pretty skilled right now. I know he wants to focus on player development. I don't know how much you know about the analytical part. I was kind of shocked, not only with him, saying the coach was safe. I don't think he needed to say it. He should have kept it like very, very gray, just saying, I'm analyzing everything as we go along. I don't think he needed to do that. As you said, the team is not fully behind him at this particular moment. But this analytical comment, that kind of threw me off too, because that is not one of your major priorities right at this minute, to put this, kind of get the boat floating in the right direction. Love to hear your thought on that.
Well, you were right when you said earlier that you and I are relatively close in age. I think I may have you even by a year or two. But I thought that was a great comment. Really? I think anybody not using analytics at this point, at this juncture in pro sports, well, certainly the sports where it can be a contributing factor. In hockey, it does have some measure, literally and figuratively, of being a contributing factor. And as much as I know about the Canadiens front office staff, I don't believe they've really attached much importance or much depth at all to analytics. And really all it is, Gooch, right? And look, I'm not a guy that goes on at night at the end of the games and whatnot. I watch as much or more hockey probably than anybody watching right now, or you or me. I watch a ton of hockey, and what I watch, I know what I watch, and I know what I see, and I can analyze it. But the analytics for those working in the game today, it's an extra tool. It's just an extra tool. Why wouldn't you have a department for it when it's been proven that it can point to certain deficiencies, positive, negative, what have you, in players? Doesn't mean that's how you pick your team. It just shows trends. It shows different things on literally every aspect of the game. But the nature of the sport of hockey isn't that you can build a team around it. But I think to not have a department dedicated to it is a massive miss. And it sounds like Montreal has been one of those teams that hasn't really had that. So I had no problem with that personally, Gooch, to be honest. And I think he's coming in. I also like another comment that he made when he said, look, I wasn't a player. I wasn't a player and I wasn't an agent. So the guy that I may bring in here, it could be, and maybe it should be somebody from a totally different walk of field. It could be an ex-player, could be a former agent, could be somebody else that isn't me. And right. I like that he said that. And this is also very important. And, you look at guys that are having success today, for example, take the Tampa Bay Lightning. And, Julian Brisebois didn't play in the NHL. John Cooper never played any hockey. I mean, these guys are in charge of the two-time defending Stanley Cup champs. And believe me, when they get Kucherov and Point back and they got Vasilevsky with the playoffs, they're still going to be a damn hard, tough out come playoff time. So I got no problem with his comment on analytics. And I think overall the press conference was excellent.
All right, so let me add a couple things to it then. He says, I want to see the team play more before making any decisions. Yet he comes out and says, I'm going to keep the coach. So I think that's contradicting what he wants. Because if he's saying he wants to watch this team play before he makes any decisions, should he not also do that with the coaching staff? Don't give anybody don't give anybody an upper edge. So he's given the coaching staff a free pass right at this moment. And I don't think they should have that. And then you mentioned the fact that he wants to build this analytical department, which he wants to have be a big piece of it, which I think is important. But then he says, I want to have a two-person helping me a system that makes the decisions. I think that's where the Montreal Canadiens have had issues, where Marc Bergevin didn't have that next guy to go to before he went to Molson. So I believe that if Jeff Gorton is going to be in that position, I think that's the right position. We all know you can't go in Montreal without having a general manager that does not speak French. So he said the GM is likely not going to be chosen until after Christmas, which is a smart move because, you're hearing everybody coming out of the woodwork right now, right? Mike, I know Patrick Waugh made that statement, you can't do any worse, right? So I'd love to hear your perspective on him giving the players, he wants to get a good look at the players, yet he's already given the coach a strong support system.
Yeah, as I stated earlier there when you had Jordan on, I think that maybe, in my view anyway, layman outsider here largely, certainly not working in the game today, just do some media like yourself. And I thought that might have been the only slip up that he made. And I think you really described it perfectly there, Gooch, for the reason why. It was a little bit hypocritical saying that you want to assess the players here because you've only seen them play one game. You've seen Laval play one game. I'm assuming he's going to be at the rink tonight. Maybe we'll find him and have a chat. But I think that was the only little bit of a hypocritical comment there. But I'm not going to hold his feet to the fire on that one. That for the most part, you can blow that off pretty easily. And like you said also earlier a few minutes ago, I mean, if they lose the next 10 in a row or something, maybe he'll say, well, you know what? I mean, we know we're not making the playoffs, but we'd like to win a couple here. Maybe we do need a different coach. I mean, I don't care if you've never played the game before. You don't have to watch this product too long right now on the ice to realize this team is shut down on this coach, and they've shut down internally. They're a very fractured and fragile group right now, and I think the coaching staff, largely Dominic Ducharme, has to play the largest role in that. Yep. So we'll see what he does here. I think everything else, like you said, another good point. Marc Bergevin has been reporting right to Jeff Molson. I think that's been a huge error. Jeff Molson alluded to that in his press conference. And said, I think now that I should have hired some help for Mark in whatever respect, but definitely at the very least, minimally a buffer between Mark and Jeff Molson. I think that would have been the most teams, the overwhelming majority. Montreal were one of only a couple that were doing it that way. So it's they're going to have to walk before they run here. And people are going to have to very quickly forget, as I said earlier, I think a large percentage of the fan base have understood that there's been some seismic changes on and off the ice here. And this is not the team that competed in almost mid-July for the Stanley Cup. So I think the Canadiens will realize that. This will be a lost season, and I expect a real good bounce back next year, all depending on what happens with Carey Price, because I don't know if Mr. Primo, who we're going to see here in a short bit, or McNiven, or Jake Allen, he's not a starter. Yeah. So if Carey's done, then there's going to be some issues here.
All right.
If he's able to come back, then they'll be able to bounce back a little quicker off the trampoline.
I was thinking of maybe asking you your thoughts on who's going to be the new general manager. I'm not going to do that. Let's leave that. Let that sink in for a couple of days, because there'll be a lot of rumors floating around. And of course, there won't be a decision made until after Christmas, as what Gorton says. So I want to ask you this question, because I've been listening to the Montreal media, and wow, if you think Toronto's harsh, or if you think Vancouver's harsh, Montreal's pretty dead on. I'll tell you what, there's no black and white. It's a lot of technicolor. And once they grab onto something, and the one that was really evident today was the fact that, is it time to let Carey Price go for his contract? Is he the guy at that contract, the guy you want leading this team in the next 18 months? And I thought, wow, that's a pretty big ask. Would you even consider him trying to deal Carey Price?
Well, they left him unprotected. So I think they probably surmised, and as we know now, correctly so, that Seattle wouldn't gamble because of the knee injury. I think any contract talk about Carey is ridiculous, because we don't even know what this guy's mental health status is.
Right.
Like, is he playing this year? Is he ever playing again? No, you don't know, Gouche. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't. Not with that.
No, so there's no any talk about his contract or Carey going anywhere is frankly ridiculous.
Yeah.
And whatever time is spent on it, 30 seconds or 3 minutes, it's time in your life you're never going to get back.
Good point.
So, I mean, right now he isn't going anywhere. And right now it's, can he get back to practice? Does he want to play? Can he play? When he comes to play, how's he going to look? Yep. And then he'll make probably further decisions based on where he's at that time. I expect him to come back. So let's look at it this way. Let's look at it and say, okay, he comes back and plays. Does then Gorton and the new GM look at maybe moving Carey? And I would say, yes, that is an option that they probably would consider based on what is Gorton going to do here. You're talking about Jordan being a Ranger fan. It's just a few short years ago that John Davidson and Jeff Gorton wrote a letter to the season ticket holders and the fan of the Rangers throughout the world saying, prepare for a rebuild here. We are tearing this thing down. So, you know, he alluded in the press conference today that if he needed to be transparent with Montreal fans, he would be. So I think we have a tremendous amount of unknown here. Right. And including, not the least of which, is what is Carey Price's status. So any chatter about him going anywhere right now is moot, foolish, and non-starter.
And it's premature, because Price will determine his price. If he comes back and is a rock star over the next 2 months, obviously he wants to get back. He wants to maybe get a shot at the Olympics. I don't think that's even in the cards right now. It's just getting him back playing. And if he does have the ability to move the dial forward a little bit for the Montreal Canadiens, it may put them in a better position to move him. And you know what? he may not be against the thought of that. All right, Liam McGuire, I'm going to see you at the Laval Rockets. We're going to look at, hopefully, the future of the Montreal Canadiens in net. He's a big, big fan of Carey Price. Carey Price is a mentor to him. Caden Primo, I just got off the phone about a half an hour ago with his father. He says, Gooch, make sure you say hello to my kid and give him a big hug. So you and I'll be doing that together. Liam McGuire, can't thank you enough for being with us on Gouche Live, brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News and, of course, Sports Illustrated. See you, Liam.
I'll see you soon, buddy.
All right. Okay, listen, don't forget tomorrow, Talking Taylor at 12 noon, we will have Gene Principe. He saw arguably the two greatest players, one from the past and one from the future, McDavid versus Crosby, and we'll get firsthand knowledge of how he felt they looked. He had an opportunity to talk to both of them after the game, and we'll be able to talk openly and honest about that. Hey, thank you for joining us on Gouche Live, brought to you by those good people at the Hockey News. And do not forget, guys, we have just signed up with the Fired Up Network. They have put us on Roku TV. We're going to be explaining that a little bit more next week once we get our studio ready, December the 11th. Make sure you're here live because we are going to put on a show going forward at the bottom line. All right. Thank you for being with us tonight. Good night from Gouche.
You've been listening to Gouche Live with your host, Carey Goulet, better known as The Gooch, brought to you by the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated.